Hi, I'm Krista from Living a Sustainable Dream, and today I am going to be canning zucchini, and I'm going to be making Zesty Zucchini Pickles. And I thought that I would just kind of briefly show you what I do. I've gotten my zucchini from the garden, and I love my garden. It has been producing really well this year. Things are fully coming on. I've got cucumbers coming out my eyeballs. I have zucchini coming out my ears. And my tomatoes are coming online, and I'm anxious to make my tomato sauce. I love making the tomato sauce as well. So, as I said, today we're going to be making zucchini pickles. And let me show you just a little bit of my prep that I do. And I kind of like my things uniform because I like them to fit in the jar because I like to make spears. And then I also do some chips, some little zucchini chips. And this is kind of a sweet dill recipe. So I'm going to show you briefly kind of what I did and what I do, and we'll get going. As you can see, I've got my zucchini cut up. Got my cutting board kind of right next to it. And I have my little chicken scrap basket because, you know, when I have scraps, my chickens love the leftover zucchini. So it's what I like to do is I like to can my zucchini pickles in the wide mouth pint jars. And I really enjoy having my zucchini pickles fit exactly in the jar with the right headspace. So I usually cut one or I cut a bunch. So basically this will become my measurement for the spears. Then is what you do is you need to let them soak in salt water. So I've got my 2 containers ready. I'll load them up with my zucchini, put the water in, put the salt in, and let them soak for 2 hours. And if the zucchini, if it looks like my pickle is going to be too long, so what I do is I'll just cut off a little bit at the top so that I have the kind of size spear that I want. And then this just goes to the chickens. And they have a great treat when I'm all done canning for the day. And I've noticed too that as I am, when I've made these in the past, if I have too much meat here, when you can them, they get really flimsy. So I just kind of trim them a little bit if they're really, you know, it depends on the size of your cucumber as to whether you need to trim a little bit or not. And obviously this is kind of just a choice preference. Okay, and then this is my first time, my first jar. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick them in my jar and we're gonna see how well they show up. They fit perfect. I like the size, enough head space. So this size is going to be perfect for the rest of my zucchini pickles. All right, I'm cutting up my spears. Got my little measuring spear here. And I just kind of line it up a little bit. Because what's cool is when you don't have, you know, you don't have enough to make another spear because either it curls, you know how cucumbers or zucchini are, you know. You can make chips, and I always start with the bigger end for measuring so I can get my spears, and then if I have leftover it'll be the smaller end so you can have a little bit smaller chips. So then I just kind of cut these into chips, and you can do whatever thickness you think you like on your, you know, burgers, salmon burgers, whatever, or even just on the side. And then look, you've got some nice little chips here. Just kind of fun. And then that's good enough. So you've got some small chips. And then, wow, we got some big chips here today. So you put those also in your container that you're going to use for soaking your zucchini. And when they get really thin like this, like really thin, you know, there we go. Kind of fat. I kind of don't use those all the time because they can and they become very flimsy when you can them up and pickle them. You know, it's kind of amazing. After I do all my canning at the, you know, during canning season, I am so tired of canning. I don't want to think about it. But you know, it's amazing. When canning season comes around again, it's like, oh, I'm ready to go. You know, you're just kind of ready to do it again. Because it's really satisfying to grow and then harvest and can, eat, and enjoy all winter long what you you know, kind of labored and worked hard for during spring and summer. Keep on going here. I've got two different kinds of zucchini. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got kind of your regular zucchini. You know, this looks kind of like typical zucchini. But then I have some that I grew that are striped. I really enjoy this variety. It cans well, or I mean it pickles well. I really enjoy that striped variety of zucchini. You know, another thing I really like too is when you have zucchini that are huge and wow, you know, they're just big. They make great pickles. So anyway, I just thought I'd give a little tidbit because I really like to make zucchini pancakes. And this size zucchini works great for zucchini pancakes. These are great size. They're not too watery because when I make zucchini pancakes, I really want smaller zucchini because you want zucchini that doesn't have a lot of water. Because when when you grate zucchini, it kind of seeps all the water and all the juice out. Well, the smaller ones don't have as much, and it makes for better zucchini pancakes. So anyway, just as a little tidbit. The big ones, when they get out of control in your garden, you know, great for pickles. Like, out of control in your garden, great pickles. Anyway, just a little tidbit. Now, not so good for chips. A little big, huh? But awesome for the spears. Because you get so many, and there's a lot of meat in there. It's great. And again, they're really, really too big, too floppy. Just cut a little bit of that off. And you've got yourself some great little spears. Look at that. I love it. Okay, I've cut all my zucchini up, and look at what my chickens are going to get. You know, I love it. They're going to love it. They eat well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I've cut all my zucchini, and I'm going to fill up my containers with the water and with all the salt and let them sit for about 2 hours. What I need is, and I'm going to do a one and a half recipes, okay? And this is 32 ounces, and 32 ounces is 4 cups, so I don't even need to measure this, of apple cider vinegar. Well, they just say white vinegar. I personally like the apple cider vinegar in the raw, the organic. Yes, it makes it so that the liquid has obviously a little orange tint to it, but I think it still looks awesome when you're done processing, and you'll see in just a minute. So there's 4 cups. So I actually need, this is 4, and 4 is 8. So if I'm going to do 1 1/2, I need 2 of these. So this is perfect. So I'm going to do 2 containers of this. Okay, so there's my 8 cups of apple cider vinegar with the mother in the raw. Love it. And Bragg's also makes the apple cider vinegar in the raw. This calls for 4 cups of sugar. And since I'm doing 1 1/2, I need 6 cups of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and get that. And I just use non-GMO sugar. I don't use organic. And what I've just noticed recently is C&H Sugar is now obviously advertising that they're non-GMO. Okay, so here's 4. There's 2 more cups. Okay, then my recipe calls for 4 teaspoons of mustard seeds. And so since I need to do 6, I'm going to actually do brown mustard and yellow mustard seeds. I love both, and they look really pretty too. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do 3 of each to make my 6. So here's my brown mustard seed. And you know what? I buy my mustard seeds now in bulk online from a place called VitaCost. They seem to be nicely priced. Okay, so there's my 6 teaspoons of mustard seed. I need 2 teaspoons of celery seed. If I'm going to do 1 1/2, I actually need 3. So here's 1, 2. There's my celery seed. Then I also need some turmeric. How good for you is that? 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to do, again, 1.5 recipes, so I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 teaspoons. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pickling liquid and I'm going to bring it to a boil. And I'm going to then start canning my Zesty Zucchini Pickles. As I'm here putting all my ingredients together for my pickling liquid, I can totally smell this. It smells awesome. It's got a little tang to it, a lot of little sweet, and it's got a little dill. So anyway, this is a fun little recipe. And you know, I got my recipe from good old Ball Home Preserving. I have enjoyed this book a lot. I really like it. If you're a canner and you don't have this one, this is a good one. I would recommend it. It's a hardback. It's durable. I just like it. And it also talks a little bit about, like, when I'm doing my jams, it also talks about how to do it without kind of the old-fashioned way. It tells you what you can do to boil it down so that the natural pectin kind of come out of your fruit and it thickens it. And you're just cooking your fruit down a little bit more. But I've really enjoyed not having to buy and use pectin all the time. So anyway, they kind of tell you how to do that in this book too. So just as a tidbit, this is a fun canning book. I have my pickling liquid. I brought it to a boil. And then it wants you to add all your zucchini into the pot and let it sit for about an hour. And I'm going to bring it back to a boil. We're going to can it into the jars. Doesn't that look pretty? Look at the color of that. And I love using my bamboo spoons. I don't know why. I just do. A lot of people use stainless steel, but I like the bamboo. All right, my zucchini pickles, as you can see, are here in my pot. I heated up, after letting them sit for an hour, I heated up the liquid, let the liquid boil. The zucchini is now a little bit more soft and cooked, and they're ready to can. You can see the color of my zucchini is a yellow gold color. It's awesome. The turmeric and the apple cider vinegar kind of color the pickles a little bit. It's beautiful. Here we go. Can them up. Here are all my jars. My bands are now going to soak. I just kind of tilt my jar, stick my pickles in there, my spears. You want to get in there as many as you can, obviously. Kind of shake them down a little bit. Oh yeah. Okay, and I kind of do that. So I can get another little one in there. Okay. Okay. Got all of them in there, like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and continue with the rest. I also cut some little pickle chips. So here we go. I'm going to pack up my chips. So I've got a whole bunch here. And I can kind of see why I cut these a little thicker, because as they cook down, you know, they kind of shrink a little bit. Oh yeah. So there we go. Got all my little chips in there, ready to go. You know, as I'm packing these, I'm kind of thinking, man, this is tedious. But at the same time, when you can, part of canning is you want your product, when you're all done, you want it to look good, you know? So you kind of take a little care in packing your pickles. And you want them all kind of standing up if possible. And you know, another good thing about the zucchini pickles is it seems like when you grow zucchini, you always have way too much. You have way more than you ever asked for. So this is a good way to preserve them. And then also, they're a great gift because they're kind of a little different. And not everybody has, you know, tasted or can get a zesty zucchini pickle. And so, you know, it's kind of fun to be able to give a gift of something that's a little different. All the while you're being able to use your zucchini that is so prolific in your garden, right? So these are fun. Okay, now I know why I kind of like a little bit thicker spear. They hold up better, you know. They stay together. They can well. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna have to remember that when I'm doing my next batch to keep them on the bigger side. Have any of you ever noticed that when you can, you seem to always can on like the hottest day? It is very toasty today. And I'm running my canner in my house, right? Yeah. That's a little crazy. You know, don't be shy about putting these pickles in there. You know? Don't be shy. Okay. Now, looks like I've got my pickles all. I'm going to put a few more chips in here because it looks like I've got plenty of space. Okay. And then when you cut your pickles kind of to the right size, you have enough head space here. Don't have to really worry about it. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and take the juice, pickling liquid, and pour it into my jars. Okay, my recipe says to leave about a ½ inch of head space, so I can put a little bit more liquid in there. So what's kind of cool is with the, and I really like my stainless steel funnel. It's really kind of nice, but you know what's really nice too is this right here is already a ½ inch for you. So when you have your liquid, you just want your liquid to touch the very bottom and you pretty much have ½ inch. So that kind of makes it nice. Doesn't it look pretty with all the mustard seed, the color. I love the color of these. It's just so beautiful. Very, very beautiful. I've noticed too, if I pack these straight in and kind of line them up, when I'm pouring my liquid, they kind of stay put, which is really nice as well. I like to put my turmeric funnel on a little saucer because then my towel doesn't get all wet. And then I have set aside a washcloth here that I'm going to use to wipe off the rim, just to make sure not too much sticky stuff, because this is a little bit of sugar in there, you know. Let's grab our lids and our bands and tighten them up. Alright, I do want to show you. Here's an old lid. I got a ream of these, a huge long ream of these, and this is without any plastic. This is what they used to be. Metal. Why can't we do these anymore? I don't understand. Just don't understand. Well, yes, I kind of do understand, but I think it's a shame why we can't just keep with the metal. Don't have to worry about any chemical or anything weird like that. You know, when you're home canning, that's one of the reasons why a lot of us like to home can, is because we know what we're putting into our food. You want to make sure that your lids are on center there. Okay, and then go ahead and tighten your lid down, your bands to your lid. You know, I have a funny little story about my little magnet here. I have had these canning utensils since I first started canning about 20 years ago, and they still work great. I love it. Last year I was canning, and in the middle of my canning process, I noticed my magnet at the end here totally disappeared. I was like, where in the world did it go? And I knew it couldn't have gone far because I was canning right here. No, I lost this a year, not last year, but the year before. So I went 1 canning season without this. I'm going to talk and do at the same time here. Talk and do. Tightening these up just a hand tight. Then we're going to put them in here in my canner. These are not too hot, so we'll go ahead and stick them in. So as I was picking out my, oh yeah, and you want the water to cover your jars, obviously. My jars are now in my canner, right here. I'm going to turn the heat on. I already had the water boiling. We'll turn that on. Once this starts to boil, I'm going to bring this to a boil, and it's going to process for about 10 minutes, and that'll do it. Then I've got one more batch, it looks like, in here, so I'll warm up my jars and do the same. So, my little story, to end my little story real quick about my little magnet. So it was gone for over a year. One canning season last year I had to do without. And then all of a sudden, and I kept going, I'm going to find that magnet, so I'm not getting rid of this. I went to the store a couple times, and I even picked up a new one of these. And it was almost just as expensive as to buy the kit. You know how they give you the kit with the canning, you know, the funnel and your canning grabber, I call it, whatever you want to call it. But I kind of switched to the stainless steel. I really like that. So I don't use my plastic one anymore, although I have a plastic one. Anyway, lo and behold, last winter, I found the magnet. And you know where it was? It was stuck down here, and it was stuck on my metal stove. How crazy is that? I'm so glad I didn't throw it away, because now I have it. Yeah! So anyway, I just love little stories like that. Sometimes it pays to hang on to things, because you never know if you'll find it again. All right, I hear that's starting to boil. We'll go 10 minutes, and we'll pull them out. My zucchini pickles are all ready. I'm going to take these out one at a time. Look at how beautiful those look. Oh yeah, those are awesome. I have just completed my zucchini pickles. I'm not going to touch them. They are very hot, but look at the color on those. How fun is that? Woo! And that is zucchini pickles. Zesty zucchini pickles. Thank you for joining me today on Living a Sustainable Dream. And if you ever want to use pickles in a very awesome way to be able to preserve them and give them as gifts, Zesty Zucchini Pickles are awesome. Thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.